Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of Global Event, organized by National Digital Library of India in association with Wills Global Foundation India. So, today we are going to have a wonderful session on sustainable water distribution for Atmanirbhar Bharat. So, before going anywhere, let's have a brief introduction to National Digital Library of India. National Digital Library of India is a 24/7 enabled umbrella digital library, and it's a single window platform that provides contents for all the academic levels from KG to PG. We have a special organized collections like schools, career development, and all other segments. National Digital Library is hosting various types of contents like text, video, audio, image, simulation, and animation. All kinds of formats are available there, and we are available in 11 Indian languages. That means our interface is available in 11 Indian languages, and the search facility with three Indian languages like English, Hindi, and Bengali. So this is a single window platform for every learner of the India. So let us know how the journey begins. National Digital Library of India was initially launched as a pilot project in 2015, and thereafter 19th June 2018 it was nationally launched for the people of India. Right now we are in the third phase of the project. National Digital Library of India now hosting 9.5 crores of content, out of which nearly 8 crore of contents are openly licensed and contents are available is completely free. NDLI is integrating already integrated 600 plus sources, and the contents are available in 423 languages, out of which 39 Indian languages are available there. The contents are organized in 10 broad categories. We have already included 21 Indian schools boards, and many more are to be integrated. And as I already told, we have all kinds of contents, and right now 69 educational degree courses, materials for the 69 educational degree courses are available in the NDLI. NDLI also supports institutional digital repositories for the educational institutions, and we have integrated more than 150 ideas in the NDLI. So, with an aim of nurturing learning habit and learning oriented activities, as well as to sharpen the core competence, the skills, and the personality traits of the students, NDLI has introduced NDLI club service to the educational institution throughout the India, and thus we are connecting India with the NDLI clubs. Here you can see that Ministry of Education, AICT, CBSE all have recommended to the institution to participate in the NDLI club. Right now, we have more than 4,600 clubs across the India, and we have already established nearly 150 clubs in the remotest areas of the India, like Northeast India, Andaman and Nicobar Island, Ladakh, and etc. And we have already established 150 ideas throughout the India. National Digital Library of India used to organize sessions like trainings, workshops uh, during every year, and we have already received 6 international awards. So let me introduce now our COO of National Digital Library of India and Chairperson Eastern India Wheels Global Foundation, Mrs. Sujata Roy. Please.
Thank you, Dr. Mukherjee. Today, I have the honor of introducing two stalwarts from the industry. We have our first, the primary speaker, Mr. Surinder Makhija, who is an alumnus of IIT Kharagpur, the same institute that I belonged to once upon a time, as well as he's an alumnus of International Rice Research Institute, Philippines, and XLRI Jamshedpur. He is the longest service professional in India in the field of water management. I mean, there will be very few people who had been working in this area for over 50 years. Mr. Makhija has a number of technical papers on water and energy management, food processing, and sustainability. He worked earlier as a consultant to the government of Ethiopia and is now associated with water and energy related projects in Southeast Asia, the Middle East, and Africa. For the past 12 years, Mr. Makhija has been working closely with governments, various diplomatic missions, FICCI, CII, ASOCAM, PhD, IFC, ADB, and World Bank, as well as strategic organizations like RIS, VIF, and ORG on policy advocacy. Mr. Makhija was awarded the Aqua Foundation's Excellence Award in 2020. So, with somebody like him being our primary speaker, we are really, really proud today to have you with us, Mr. Makhija, and welcome you to the session. We next have our moderator, Mr. Indrajit Chatterjee, another stalwart in the industry. He has a BTech in honors in mechanical engineering from IIT Kharagpur. And then he did executive management courses from MIT, Sloan School of Management, Cambridge, Massachusetts, then also from University of Warwick, UK, etc. Mr. Chatterjee also has over 50 years of experience in the manufacturing industry. He is a board member of Wheels Global Foundation as well as of the Sobers Insight Forum. His current passion is to give back to the country, especially to the rural segment through future technologies. Welcome to the session, Mr. Chatterjee. And I would now like to invite you to take over as the moderator and take the session from here onwards.
You're muted, Mr. Chatterjee. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Sujata, for the kind introduction of both of us. And today's topic is sustainable water distribution for Atmanirbhar Bharat. And it's a very vast subject. Anirban, can you share the slide, please? And as it's a vast subject, I put it in the slide. We are dividing the session into three topics right now because, as you know, it can take years to complete all the things we want to talk about water. So we'll go by SDGs, actually, water, SDG 6, water and sanitation, and we'll cover that current situation on water, then what are the challenges and solutions available and the opportunities that exist in this sector. Keeping this in mind, actually, I am not taking much more time. I want to introduce Mr. Surinder Makhija to the session. And Makhija, Mr. Makhija, as you know that we'll be talking about it. Kindly let us have a brief on the uh, water. I mean, you are also an expert on water and agriculture. So I'll expect something on agriculture also, where water is consumed at 80% of Indian total water. And please give us your insights on the current situations on water in India and other countries that you observe. Welcome, Makhija. Stage is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chatterjee. To begin with, thank you, Dr. Mukherjee, Sujataji, for the introduction, which I hardly deserved. Uh, I have really spent last 52 years only on water and water management. It's not only my profession, but also my passion. Water and water everywhere, not a drop to drink. We heard so many of such lines, but I think in very simplistic term, there is a doha which says, Jal bin sab soon. Without water, there can be nothing. Land, water, energy, and human capital are the key elements for any enterprise. Water is undoubtedly the most important natural asset that is common to all 17 Sustainable Development Goals. If we try to take away water from the SDGs, these will never remain sustainable. They're more akin to the Millennium Development Goals, which were not very successful. So therefore, water remains at the center stage of each developmental activity anywhere and everywhere. In India, the availability of water has reduced or declined from 2280 cubic meter per head per annum in 1994 to as low as 1500 cubic meter per annum per head, and is likely to go down to about 1260 or 1250 cubic meter by 2050. This is not exactly a very secular spread, a temporal spread, and therefore this makes these are very average figures, and this therefore makes the problem far more serious, because in some areas we are acutely short of water, where in some areas of the country water is in success. The World Economic Forum Global Risk Report 18 indicates that there are 5 risks that will have biggest impact in next 10 years. Drought remains at the top of the list. That is, the risk of drought that damages the agriculture will be as high as 83%. Volcanic eruption will be 30%. Storm and the rest are lower than that. So obviously water is very, very important for every activity that we consider and happens. Now, taking a global view, in 1995, only 8% of the global population happened to be under water scarcity or water stress situation. By 2050, is going to be as much as about 42% of the global population will become under water stress or water scarcity situation. Now, this is indeed a very serious matter. As per the Sustainable Developmental Goal 6.4, the importance of water has been highlighted. But it is not only the 6.4 or Sustainable Development Goal number 6, but also the climate risk that is looming in our face. We are currently faced with problems like too hot, too cold, too wet, too dry. And this, in fact, happened to be the topic of conference I attended more than 10 years back at the University of Nebraska, where this was discussed threadbare, that is going to be very, very difficult, and the climate change is going to be one of the biggest unsettling factor in the humankind. Water risk has also become a business and a financial risk. Water risk also is a job risk. This photograph I had taken when I was traveling from San Francisco to Los Angeles, passing through the Fresno area. California happens to be the food bowl of US. But when I visited to study the impact of 3 successive years of drought in the Southern California. And believe you me, there were empty fields in most parts. And every half a kilometer there was a sign called "No water, no job." No, Even in a developed country like the US, you can imagine when there is a shortage of water, it can be a source of severe stress and a business risk. No, we discuss sustainability in very loose term, but actually, what is the meaning of sustainability? In my opinion, sustainability of any particular resource availability is that it is available at all times. It's affordable. We can't really grow rice or any agricultural crop using, let's say, drinking water. And the water and the resource should be devoid of conflict. It's available but locked in conflict. And water, unfortunately, is one such resource which is which is locked in conflict. We have seen water has become a societal risk between the communities, between the states, and between the nations. Can have the slides, please. Now, this is the crux of the problem as far as India is concerned. My presentation or my conversation will undoubtedly have an agriculture bias. I'm going to favor my discussions more on the agricultural side of the water because as we see that in India, this is slightly an old data, but you can take a figure, a percent here and there. Unlike the developed countries, 82% of water in India is used in agriculture, only 12% in industry, and 6% for domestic use. Unlike developed countries like Europe, the US, where 33% of water is only is used in agriculture, and more water is available for industry and domestic use. So if we take the use of water as an indicator of the development or industrial development, obviously we are left far behind. Now, water in agriculture rather remains an elephant in the room as far as water is concerned. So, in a society where 82% of water is used in agriculture, is really a luxury which the other stakeholders will not let it continue for a very long time. Therefore, we have to make sure that more water is available for competing sectors and less water is available for agriculture. That's not a very easy situation because in India, water, land, and energy are very emotional and political issues. Now, food and agriculture is actually going to be the biggest, I would say, the cause of challenge. Uh, Mr. Chatterjee, I think you already defined the three particular parameters that you wanted me to
Yeah,
discuss,
right.
and I think I'll hand over to you as in case you have anything to say on that.
Thank you, Mr. Makija. We have been hearing actually passionately on this current situation, actually, which is very, very important to meet the challenges also. So, how do you think that we can meet the mm, challenges that are there? How to overcome the challenges, both technology-wise and other means, whatever you suggest? Kindly state that one now, challenges in that. Thank you.
I generally define the solution lies in two things. Agriculture has to become science based and technology driven, which is not the case in India. Slowly and slowly, we are trying to make it happen. The first major step was, of course, the Green Revolution in '60s, but thereafter the situation isn't as good as it is now, and we see that we are faced with an uphill task of increased population, ever growing population, and the current level of food production at 280 million tons, give and take few tons here and there, million tons, is not enough. And by 2050, we'll require 450 million tons for growing population. Now, this might seem little odd that while the population increase projection is 1300 million to 1500 million, That is 1.3 billion to 1.5 billion. We are already about 1.4 billion now, I think. The increase in food production projected is from 280 million to 450 million because we want everybody to have enough food on the plate. As the quality of life increases, which is the endeavor of the government, because food is the primary need of each citizen, and food for all is the basic concern of each government. And therefore, the government has to endeavor to ensure that there is enough food on the plate. And now, the food itself is not merely cereals; it is the food and nutrition. So in the nutrition, we need to have more milk, we need to have meat, we need to have fruits, we need to have marine products made available for the citizens, and that in fact increases the demand of water because we need more fodder for dairy, marine products. We need more water for dairy, fodder, marine products, and fiber crops. As I mentioned earlier, the adverse climatic changes are having a deep impact on the crop yields. And last year, the farmers in Punjab they faced the heat problem while growing I think it's early heat, rather they call it early heat because before the crop actually had arrived, the heat had set in, and there was a loss of about 5% on the average yield of wheat crop in Punjab. The farmers are demanding some sort of compensation from the government. So these are very, things which are happening in our life. They are not projections. Everybody is facing the impact of climate change. The adverse impact of climatic changes on crop yields is sometimes more wet. We had a lot of rain this year in the months of March, April, and is still continuing. And therefore, it is necessary that we have to ensure that the food production is sustainable, or the increase in the food production is sustainable so that we do not face any challenges in the future. Currently, the area under irrigation, we are very fortunate country that we have a large area under irrigation. But yet, out of 140 million hectares of area under agriculture, cultivation, only let's say 80 million is under irrigation, and rest is left to the vagaries of nature. Now, in case we want to really increase the food production, we'll have to ensure that the more area comes under agriculture, more agricultural land comes under irrigation. Well, that's again a big problem because already agriculture is using in as much as 80% water uh, of the all available water. So how do you actually, solve this problem? Well, there is an increased demand from other competing sectors. Under the stewardship of Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi, the government has embarked upon new initiatives like uh, Make in India. I need to have the slides, please. Yes. PM Awas Yojana, drinking water mission, that is water in each drinking water available to each household, to make India a $5 trillion economy by 2024, Atmanirbhar Bharat, and to acquire leadership in service sector. There's going to be an increased demand from these competing sectors vis-a-vis agriculture. So how do we solve this problem? Now, at the end of the day, it is to be seen that sustained availability of water will hold the key to the success of the most ambitious initiative, that is the Atmanirbhar Bharat. And there is no denying that even if all other key elements are in place, absence of adequate and sustained supply of water will create major pitfall to the growth momentum of Atmanirbhar mega project. So whatever we do, we are faced with the situation of providing more water to agriculture, at the same time ensuring that the competing demand from the other sector also gets more and more water. And this is a key challenge. And this is how we have to take steps to ensure that there is sustained equilibrium between the three sectors, the three competing demands. So we have to create storages, we have to store water, because water happens to be a local subject or a regional subject. Now, how do we ensure that we are able to provide more water to all major sectors of developmental activity in the country? And actually, in 2020, the Planning Commission then, in its water report, it was 2012 rather, I think 2012, the water report of Planning Commission had envisaged a 20% increase in the water use efficiency in agriculture. That was the first major acknowledgement by the government of India on things to come. They foresaw that water is going to be one of the most limiting factors as far as developmental activity is concerned in the other sectors like industry and urban demand. So, what exactly we need to do is to increase the water use efficiency. Now, water use efficiency is not necessary to be increased in agriculture, but also in other sectors. But in agriculture, because it's using a very large part of the largest share of the water, a mere 10% increase in water use efficiency in agriculture will be able to release a large chunk of water for the other competing sectors like industry and urban sector or domestic sector. At the same time, each and every sector will have to strive to ensure that they these sectors use less water to produce more. Whether it's steel, you're producing more steel, you have to ensure that you use less and less of water, and whether it is done through water reuse, recycling, but it has become extremely important for the survival of the industry also. Because if you might have come across an example in Kerala where the Coca-Cola plant was shut down because there was a test from the local community that it was drawing too much of water and creating problems. So we don't want to see such similar situations. So how do we ensure that agriculture uses less water? And that is by actually ensuring efficient use of water. A country like Israel uses drip irrigation on 100% area. Not even a single drop of water is allowed to waste. Now you can see that this is a drip irrigated area. There is no wastage of water. You're actually watering the plant, not the field. Now, that some crops like sugarcane which consume a lot of water. So if we use drip irrigation system, a calibrated application of water with fertilizers and plant nutrients can really increase the yield by as much as 200% to 300% by using less quantity of water. These are the photographs of greenhouses or protected cultivation. And these are initiatives which use far, far less water compared to the conventional flood irrigation or furrow irrigation systems. Use merely 10 to 15% of water and produce 3 to 5 times more crop because the entire water that is given to the area goes to the plant growth and not wasted in the field in between. India has emerged as the largest exporter of cucumber, and this is possible only because of using technology like greenhouses and using far less water. And this is being grown in Haryana and the area around Delhi where water is not surplus, water is in short supply. So this is all possible because of the use of drip irrigation system. Countries like Spain and Israel and Austria, and now in California also, the flood irrigation or the furrow irrigation has been replaced by a drip irrigation system. In Libya, no, the new paradigm is not to convey water through canals. Actually, when we inherited the British system of open canals, there were unlined canals, a lot of water was wasted. So it came to the lined canals. But now the new paradigm is to use piped irrigation. You will in south of Spain, where the water is an acute shortage, you can find water ATM where a farmer has to insert an ATM card to draw a specific quantity of water for irrigation. And we, in course of time in India, also will have to establish some sort of similar arrangement, create water grids. And we have to create water grids to ensure that not even a single drop of water is wasted. The water from the source is directly conveyed to the field, and the entire water is used without any loss in between. This is the photograph of the pipes being conveyed for the man-made river in Libya. In Libya, they discovered the water aquifers in one part. It's a dry area, a desert country. And when they discovered the water aquifers in one part, they connected the whole country using large diameter pipelines, and it is called the largest man-made river. They couldn't really make a river like the conventional river. The water was conveyed from one part to another using this piped conveyance. And this is what is my vision, that in times to come, maybe by 2040 or 2050, India should also have a similar grid. In, like the power grid, we should have energy grid. We should have water grids. What is the value of water? Just to give you an example, if you place 1 paisa per liter of the water used in agriculture, the cost of water to produce 1 hectare of paddy is as high as a lakh and 20,000 to lakh and 50,000. And you can imagine how much of water is used to grow paddy, and we have a major part of the rice grown in Punjab is actually exported. So, are we exporting the rice? Are we exporting water? Actually, we are exporting water and nothing else. The other initiatives are desalination of water. This is one big area. Already, a lot of work is going on. A large number of uh, industrial establishments along the seashore have adopted this desalination of water on a very large scale, and this has really helped to let to mitigate the water problems in coastal areas. Even I think Reliance is doing it. One of the steel plants in West Bengal, they are doing it. So they need water, and desalination or water uh, filtration or reuse has become extremely affordable because the cost of energy has gone down. It was projected to go up as much as about 10 units per 10 rupees per unit, but using the solar energy, the cost of power. In fact, I foresee that in next 5 years time or maybe 10 years time, energy will be virtually free of cost. It will be as low as about something like 50 paisa a unit. So, because of the reduced cost of energy, desalination has become a much easier proposition and affordable proposition. In India, our share of desalinated water is not very large, but still it is growing because it is now affordable. This is the photograph of a facility I love to show. This is called Shafdan in Israel. The wastewater of 7 cities is collected in this facility near Tel Aviv. I've taken large number of visitors, government officers, and even politicians from India to show them this facility. Water is filtered, not sanitized, not made potable, but that filtered water is pumped all across Israel, particularly from Tel Aviv to the Negev desert, and is used for irrigation of the crops. And the crops, there was hardly any agriculture in the southern part of Israel. Now, the water conveyed from this facility in purple colored pipeline has enabled Israel to become one of the biggest exporters of fruits and vegetables to Europe. The water storage, this is a photograph of the facility near Jan Irrigation. This is a dam which has been constructed by Jan Irrigation to ensure that the Girna River adjoining our manufacturing facility, water is not wasted. Now, this storage provides drinking water and irrigation water to 14 villages along this the length. And these are some of the initiatives which the companies can do under the CSR activity. What are the opportunities you wanted to ask? But if you have anything to say in between, Mr. Chatterjee.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Makhija, for telling us about the challenges and the solution through technology, how to make it affordable as well as reliable and, of course, sustainable. And I really amazed at your forecasting of this Israel thing. You've taken some government of India people to Israel, and here is the news. I want to read it out, and I hope all of you know about this one. In a major initiative towards developing sustainable management solutions for Indian water sector, IIT Madras and Israel have partnered to establish India-Israel Center of Water Technology. What best can be actually shown as an example of what Mr. Makhija has been telling with this concern on certain thing, and said it is coming to India now, Israel technology. That's what I wanted to tell. While we talk about the next topic, I request the audience to put their questions on the comment boxes so that it can be taken up in next 5-6 minutes time. So now coming to our third portion of this one, Mr. Makhija, you are a global expert on water and agriculture sector especially, and can you tell us that what are the opportunities for the student community, because they are the main attendees in this one, and in general, how you can visualizing they can go for jobs or as well as entrepreneurship in this area to save water. Thank you. Take it up.
Thank you, Mr. Chatterjee. Since you mentioned Israel, allow me to inform you that Jan Irrigation, in fact, has two manufacturing plants in Israel. We acquired these plants to have access to technology. Jan Irrigation has 15 manufacturing plants outside India. And these are all acquisitions primarily with the idea of acquiring the know-how, technology, and global footprint. No, our initiative or our, let's say, the interaction with the Jan, with Israel has proved to be very, very successful. And we have been able to provide Indian farmers with the best of the irrigation technology. Uh, can I have my next slide, please? There are no more slides?
No more slides is here, as
Oh,
you have
dear. I
uploaded
think
it.
then, all right, doesn't matter at all. Now, as I said earlier, the technology is a solution provider. And without technology, it will not be possible for any of us to create. It's a great enabler, whether in the field of agriculture, in the field of irrigation, whatever we are doing currently. Now, automation, IoT of things has really created enough opportunity because what's happening is that if we want to use water in the best possible manner, we have to use technology. We have to combine the various elements of agriculture like soil moisture, the you can say the climatic condition, the weather, the plant needs, the crop type, and use automated systems so that we are able to provide only minimum quantity of water without wasting water or water resource. Similarly, their opportunity lies in the field of uh, technology for desalination. Opportunities lies students who have the inclination for biotechnology, who have a good interest in chemistry, will be able to do good in the field of biotechnology, water reuse, zero liquid discharge, because these have become essential. In fact, some uh, 5 years back, Asahi Glass of Japan approached us, and they wanted to manufacture water ATMs. In course of their pursuit to become a zero discharge company, they developed very effective membrane technology. They wanted to share that technology with us, and they wanted to scale it up to the extent that in the water deprived societies, in the slum areas, in the schools, there will be water ATMs, and drinking water is made available to the people who do not have access to drinking water. So that will be an on-site filtration of water and availability of water. So there are that way spin-offs from various industrial activities. There are research and development going on. I think the biggest research and development activity going on is in the field of how to produce more with a lot less in areas like aeroponics, hydroponics, greenhouses. Uh, Now, you can find availability of exotic vegetables and herbs very easy in urban areas. I never could find exotic vegetables like arugula leaves or microgreens about 10 years back in India, particularly even in Delhi also. But now, if I want to buy these things of my choice, these are available, and this is possible because entrepreneurs have come. They have established greenhouses, they have established aeroponics, they have established hydroponics, and they are producing. And there is a discerning market for that, but it's growing, and there is a lot of technology that goes into making it cost effective and affordable. So we are in for anything new that makes it possible to grow or produce more with less, or rather lot less to produce lot more. And the last point I want to emphasize is that now it is not merely the quantitative increase in production per unit of water, it is the value creation. For example, there's no point in our exporting rice. Israel does not produce wheat or corn or anything of its own. If they produce anything, they produce it for the dairy. They're actually importing it. All they are doing is whatever water they have, they produce the best of the variety of vegetables and fruits for export to Europe and various other countries. And this year time has come for us to do the same thing. It's absurd for India to produce rice and export. It's better, like I mentioned, that we are the largest producer of cucumber. Let us be the largest producer of some other high value crops. Instead of producing the cast iron, why not to produce the best variety of stainless steel, where the water is not available? So use every drop of water to create more and more value. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Makija, for the insightful session to us. And I'd love to hear more from you in our future interactions in the form of webinars. And now it's a very nice thing what you have told within the limit of time. Now, can I request Dr. Anirban to collect the questions from the public or the audience and post it for Mr. Makhija to answer this. Over to
So
you.
for sure, actually we didn't get much question. So one that I am going to show you, that I think we have already had a discussion on that. So let me show the question. What are the challenges for next century in India? I think that we can discuss upon based on the uh, availability water and distribution of water that already we have discussed. So if Mr. Makhija has anything to tell special, so I
Yes,
would.
thank you for that's in fact a very fine question. You see, in many areas, the human race will be able to overcome the problems of water shortages. I am very hopeful that technology, science and technology will be the great enabler. Two major disruptions will help us achieve that. One is solar energy and cheap solar energy. Uh, I once visited Africa. Deep inside, I was surprised to see the middle of nowhere is some kind of an oasis. There was a solar pump there, a solar panel there, and water was available. No, these are the kind of developments which were far and few earlier on, about 10, 15 years back when I used to travel Africa. But now this is affordable. Energy has become very, very cheap. And I still feel that solar energy will become very, very affordable in time to come. Or renewable energy will become very, very affordable in time to come. But the challenge beyond this would lie in the climate change. And the climate risk mitigation is going to be the biggest thing that will engage the human race. Uh, so we have to be prepared for that. We have to prepare ourselves more and provide more than necessary. If today we feel that X amount of initiative in a particular area would be sufficient, we'll probably have to think about X into 1.2 or X into 1.5, looking at the region specific condition. In the coastal areas, God forbid, if the the ambient temperature goes beyond 1.5 to 2 degrees earlier than the projected deadline, we have to be prepared for certain unforeseen circumstances. A lot of the area in under agriculture will get submerged. There will be a water ingress of saline water into the productive agricultural areas. So this area of 140 million hectares might get reduced in case there is increase in the sea level. So in such situation, we'll have to think about producing a lot more with lot less, and that would be only possible using science and technology. I don't just want to talk about drip irrigation, but this is one of the tools that is a great enabler. Initially, when drip irrigation was innovated in Israel, it was thought to be a water saving device. But combined with the fertigation, calibrated application of water, fertilizers, and micronutrients, it is seen that the productivity level has gone up from 100% to 200%, in some cases as much as about 500%. So these kind of technologies will provide initiative. I mentioned greenhouses, I mentioned aeroponics, uh, even in now the thoughts is going on that in some buildings food can be grown, and the climate conditions are such that it's possible to grow food inside the office space.
So we have some more wonderful questions. So to Sharf uh, that we can talk upon how the things can be set at the ground level. The people in India are not much technological driven right now. How government of India can make easy access to fresh water at low cost in reality.
Uh, I happened to mention my interaction with the Asahi class. Uh, that was one activity which can be scaled up. There are people working rigorously in the field of water filtration. The biggest problem in some areas is a high content of iron, fluoride, or even arsenic. Uh, I met somebody from IIT who was working for Boston Group, who is doing very dedicated work on removal of arsenic from drinking water. No, on a smaller scale, it is possible to do so, but it is the question of the scale of economy. Once we scale it up, is it affordable? So it's a work in progress. On one hand, the Prime Minister's drinking water mission is a mega mission, is a very big program that is being executed very, very effectively. But at the same time, the problem areas continue to remain, and these can be addressed, I said, with the help of the newer technologies. In case of the coastal areas, I see, like in Singapore, they are desalinating water. They are even recycling the wastewater, and they call it new water. And even the Prime Minister of Singapore was bold enough to take the first cup of water which was recycled from wastewater, from the human waste this thing. So these are the things which were initially unheard of. But the space technology, people going to space and making it necessary for them to recycle water, their own waste, is the same thing is now being used, and industries are now being forced to ensure that they use least amount of water, they recycle the water, they adopt zero liquid discharge. And in these endeavors, a lot of money is being spent on this side to ensure such kind of results. The compliances are quite strict now. Even we at Jan Irrigation, we have to submit a lot of the water audit reports, how much of water we are drawing from the groundwater, how much water we are drawing from the surface, and whether it is justified, whether it is accounted for, whether it is good, whether it is unnecessary. So, as I mentioned earlier, I am a strong believer of science and technology, and as science has made it cheaper to get energy, it will be cheaper to get water, drinking water also all across.
So some questions like when you have talked about the water ATM, so in that connection, someone has asked that if we are making water more costly with the water ATMs, then how slums can afford this, or how, whether we are going to charge for the water from farmers in future. This type of questions are coming continuously. Are we making water more costly? So these are some questions that you may talk upon.
Dr. Mukherjee, that's a wonderful question. In fact, I was expecting this question from someone who raised it. Water is money. Water has to be respected. It has to be monetized. I mentioned earlier that for producing 1 hectare of rice, the value of water is about a lakh and 20,000, a lakh and 50,000. The same quantity of water is used elsewhere. It can be monetized very highly. Now, the thing is, water is valued more in the deficit areas. So, as far as agriculture is concerned, you ask those farmers who are not having water, they are prepared to pay for it. They're prepared to pay a reasonable amount of money for it. If we say no, no, it's not free of cost, or some politician goes over there, I'll give you free of cost, they probably may not agree to it. So it's now possible to really uh, place value on water, place money on water. Uh, and that is possible that if you pay high price and then start growing wheat or rice, that won't be the case. You see, in this southern part of Maharashtra, like Sholapur and all these areas, it's a water stressed area. The farmers sometimes get water by tankers to save their crops. But imagine what they are growing. They are growing pomegranate. They are growing high value crops. They are growing grapes. And they are fetching a huge amount of money. They can afford it. So the question has two sides like a coin. If water has a value and you have to spend it as a valuable commodity. If you don't spend it as a valuable commodity, it will go waste. It will be a loss. So that's my
So
interpretation.
another question that I have to take, I must take, that is what asked by Siddhartha Mukherjee. What could be the probable strategies to overcome issues due to the climate changes or global warming?
To the risk of the mitigation strategies for global warming are well known. We know what are the steps that nations have to take to mitigate the risk of climate change. But if the climate change as it is happening now, the science and technology again is going to provide the solution. The scientists in agricultural scientists are now busy in producing crop varieties which can stand the higher temperature better because of the increase in the ambient temperature. That is one area. Second is that even if we have ample water in some communities, they cannot afford to waste it because water will be not available in as much quantity in times to come. Uh, I have already mentioned that in the coastal areas there will be a large impact of the global warming, and that is where the government has to start thinking in terms of reducing the impact of saline water ingress into the agricultural land. And maybe the change will take place by replacing conventional agriculture like paddy to marine products. Like this is one area which is already being done in some parts of the country. Is found to be very profitable. The eating habits in that area also support that kind of initiative. But the government will have to start thinking in terms of doing that. Though some people are working about rice varieties which can withstand saline water better, but that really won't sustain in case the climate change takes place uh, in a more accelerated way than we anticipated. Then we can't calibrate it. We can't really control it the way the global community is going on. We all know the reasons for that.
Thank you. As of now, we have that much of question, and now I again transfer the mic to Mr. Indrajit Chatterjee.
Before that, I would like to thank you, uh, uh, National Digital Library of India, Mr. Dr. Mukherjee, Sujata ji, my friend Mr. Indrajit Chatterjee for this opportunity, and I'm really grateful for uh, being here. Thanks again.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chatterjee, please.
Thank you, Mr. Makhija. Actually, we are batchmates from IIT Kharagpur. So, coming to this end of this session, actually, I really feel some of the very important points are covered here. Maybe and it's meant for the younger generation, whether they. I'll mention some opportunities in the research sector, especially IIT Kanpur, IIT Kharagpur, IIT Gandhinagar. They have worked, and we have. Uh, Funded them actually, especially to uh, this IIT Bombay and IIT Gandhinagar and Kharagpur to take up the research work in setting up this water from the waste, make it potable and also in line with this suggestion. So ATMs also, we have actually our partner company, that is Win Wheels India Niswat Foundation. That's based in Gandhinagar. IIT has provided them, and it's a tremendous work they're doing, and including water ATMs, and it's actually applicable to the geographical area. All the solutions cannot be used in everywhere we like, because it has to be some geographically, somewhere there is flood, somewhere there is drought, and so that's the reason we have to apply the technology in the right sense. And this one now, because we have almost reached our time, so I'll just talk 1 minute on our Wills Global Foundation, in which I am in the board of India thing. Anirban, yeah. So Wills Global Foundation is a totally non-profit thing, and it is based out of USA and India. USA is 501c3 company, and India is a Section 8 company. And it started by all IITians in 2005, and for then followed by registration, etc. Now, what is this wheels actually? The spokes are water, health, education, energy, livelihoods, and sustainability. As you see, water is coming at the top of the pyramid, and if you solve that one, your health and education, energy, livelihoods, everywhere it will be successful. And that's why we selected this topic, and we have plans to make various other things also in the coming days. One thing I say, that this being a voluntary organization, in case somebody is interested in joining us, please join through our website www.wheelsglobal.org. It is given there, and we'll welcome questions from those who could not write the questions now, but later on, if you send the questions to Dr. Anirban, who will be answering that one definitely within the reasonable time. Thank you, Anirban. Now I pass it on to Anirban for giving the vote of thanks. Thank you for the lovely session we had.
So, hello, I am Dr. Anirban Mukherjee, Principal Project Officer of National Digital Library of India. On behalf of NDLI, I would like to thank Mr. Surinder Makhija for his such a wonderful presentation. I would like to thank Wheels Global Foundation for sponsoring or partnering with us for the program. I would like to thank Mr. Indrajit Chatterjee, Mrs. Sujata Roy, and all other members of National Digital Library of India, and everyone who have participated in this program. I would like to convey my thanks to IIT Kharagpur for holding this project. I would like to thanks the PIs of this project, National Digital Library of India. With all thanks and loves, I would like to conclude the session. Uh, Again, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Indrajit Chatterjee and Surinder Makhija, for being here, for presenting such a wonderful and informative session. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you.